Hey, what's going on? Before we get into this brand new episode of White Heat, just want to remind you of a few things involving the Godzilla Media family. First off, we are going to be live this year for the NFL draft at the Iron's Edge at Boston Spa Country Club. It's the brand new restaurant inside the clubhouse there. It's going to be a great time as you can join Godzilla Media personalities live on location starting at 6:30, which is before the first round officially starts, and we'll be there throughout the entirety of the first round of the draft that night. Enjoy great drink specials, food, football fans, and more. That is going down the last Thursday of the month, April the 29th. For more information on the upcoming draft night broadcast, just make sure you continue to watch or listen to Godzilla Media shows throughout the month, whether you're checking these out on YouTube or if you're listening wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the such. Also, hey, don't forget that the Albany Empire kick off their season at home on Saturday, April the 23rd at MVP Arena, formerly known as the Times Union Center in downtown Albany. Godzilla Media will be hosting the pregame show starting at 3:30 p.m. live from the MVP Arena, and you can watch it on Godzilla Media's YouTube channel. And make sure you buy your tickets today for the kickoff of the new season at albanyempire.nal.com. That all being said, welcome to episode 45 of White Heat, presented by Godzilla Media, and of course sponsored by
Punch him in the
friends.
dick, blood. Punch him in the dick, blood. Fuckers talk shit. I'ma punch him in the dick, blood. Punch him in the dick. Punch him in
Who's
the
getting-
dick. Motherfuckers talk shit. I'ma
Who's
punch him
getting?
in the
Whoa,
dick.
whoa! Who's getting? Whoa! Who's getting punched in the dick and what? Huh? What?
Everyone.
Who? Jesus Christ! Presented by Godzilla Media. Fucking JJ. God.
That was a precursor in case Gazoo decides to pop in.
Oh, well. All right. So behind the curtain here. So I was trying to be productive while I was show prepping and create a new separate screen for me for like all the like our show background, the overlays you just saw like for the NFL draft and the Albany Empire, shit like that. Because I don't feel like sharing anymore. I want to have my own screen. Fuck everyone else at Godzilla Media. I'm just kidding. I love you guys, but when it comes to graphics and such, fuck off. Because you can only have up to a certain number of graphics imported. So like every show has all their graphics in the same page, and I just eventually decided they fuck it. So that's why popped in for 2 seconds before we went on the air, because he wanted to see if I could actually access our background for the show. And in the end, I said fuck it because I was like, this can be too time consuming. Anyways, now I've you behind the curtain. Today's show is going to be very, very interesting. That's putting it a little bit mildly, in my opinion. So here's what I would like to do. I want to start off the show following up with something we began addressing in part B of episode 44, which if you didn't check that out or any of our past episodes, go back into our playlist within the Godzilla Media YouTube channel, or go back through our shows on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Play and check out the library of shows for White Heat. This is it's a very sensitive topic, but it has to be addressed because there's been a lot of development since we last went off the air on Wednesday, which was the last time we recorded. But this has to be addressed, and there's no other way around it. So, that all being said, here's what I'm going to preface the topic with. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know what it is already, and I'll start addressing it first so that the audio only audience will catch up. If you don't mind, JJ, I'm going to go ahead and give my 2 cents about the entire situation, and then I will allow you to pipe in with your thoughts, agreements and disagreements, so on and so forth. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you should be well aware by now of the craziness that's been going on involving Nash Carter, one half of the now former two-time NXT Tag Team Champions MSK, or if you know him from the Indies or from when he was on Impact, you knew him as Zachary Wentz, as part of the Rascals. So, at the end of us recording Part B of episode 44 last week, we came across allegations from Kimberly, his wife, who they are now separated. We'll get into that in a second. But there were allegations being put out there by Kimberly, most known for her stuff right now on the Indies and on and off of Impact here and there. She put out allegations of domestic abuse from Nash, particularly one specific incident. I believe it was New Year's, if I remember correctly, in which she had taken pictures the morning after, and she posted the two pictures on Twitter with a tweet about the allegation, to which caught our eyes, and we just put it out there and basically, talked about it in a sensible fashion. So, as things developed over the next 24 to 48 hours, we come to find out that WWE eventually announces the release of Nash Carter, and then subsequently after that, the vacating of the NXT Tag Team Championships, which I'm sure will be addressed during NXT this coming week on television, as far as what they're going to do moving forward with those titles. Now, the follow-up from Kimberly's allegations was multifaceted. First off, we have Wes Lee, his tag team partner, his wife, coming out and basically negating what Kimberly was alleging and saying that Nash had actually left Kimber recently and had been staying at her and Wes's house and had actually filed for divorce early last week before the allegation initially came out, or around the time it came out, and basically was defending Nash to a degree. Kimber was standing her ground. And then what ultimately led to the demise of Nash was not the domestic violence allegation, which WWE would clear up in a later statement after releasing Nash. Kimber got her hands on a photo of a 17-year-old Zach, and I know I'm going back between his WWE name Nash and his real name Zach, but just stay with me here. So a 17-year-old Nash Carter, Zach, whatever you want to call him, apparently as a joke, shaved what facial hair he did have at age 17 down to the Hitler stash, and took a picture of him with the stash and doing the Nazi salute in a mirror. That picture, though, was not originally in Kimber's possession. The picture had been obtained by Dave Christ, who had worked in the Indies with Zach, worked in Impact with Zach.
And who got blackballed last year.
Right. Was part of the whole Me Too movement in 2021 and got shit canned from Impact because of the allegations that were against him. And the story there is that essentially Dave sent that picture to Kimber. Now, we don't know exactly when it was sent. We don't know if it was sent before all this shit blew up on Twitter last week, or if it was sent after the fact when Wes's wife started defending Nash or whatever. Point is, Dave Christ essentially blackmailed the shit out of Nash, which led to Nash getting fired from a well, I don't know if he was getting six figures.
He was.
Oh, okay. I thought he was. From losing a six-figure paying job, dream job, really, with WWE as part of their NXT roster, and more than likely sooner than later was being called up to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my input. As far as the domestic abuse allegations, again, like I referred to last week, I don't like touching that stuff with a 10-foot pole. That's between Nash and Kimber and potentially any attorneys or any part of the legal system that do get involved in that situation. But if we are to assume, based on Kimberly's past of being around, being in toxic relationships and having, how should I put this, abuse problems, with um, alcohol, it sounds like a woman who needs, like I mentioned, this is like I mentioned last week, who needs some serious help. Um, Mostly therapy and maybe potentially more. Um, because as someone, both of us actually, who have had to go through therapy with depression and the such, trying to self-diagnose yourself and self-treat your own symptoms is never a good idea.
Yep.
Um, Starting and stopping therapy is never a good idea. You have to be consistently going to therapy, talking to a therapist, talking to medical professionals. When I say go to therapy, I don't mean having a fucking powwow with your friends, seeking medical professional help.
Yeah.
That's therapy. Not sitting around a campfire drinking a glass of vino with your girlfriends, gossiping about what the fuck's been bothering you. I'm talking about an actual PhD sitting across from you, talking out and hashing out your problems. So that's part one of the whole situation. Part two of the situation that I want to address is Dave fucking Christ. Dave, I hope that somebody that is connected to you is listening to this, because I know we have a lot of friends around the Northeast Indies, and they'll probably hear about this and maybe pass along to you, but I hope you really fucking hear this. As much as I hate people who abuse women, right up there close, as a close second, are assholes who blackball their friends for no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if Zach ever did anything to you, Dave. There's never been a story about him doing anything to you. Or if you're just a bitter, jealous son of a bitch because you lost your job working for a nationally broadcasted wrestling company and Zach was flourishing the last 24 months. But you are the epitome of a prick.
Mm-hmm.
A bitter prick. And anybody who is associated with you should distance themselves even further than they probably already have from you. Because if you're willing to cost a friend a 6-figure paying dream job like you just did to Zach, what the fuck else are you capable of?
Right.
Total dick move, unnecessary, and it's been clarified by WWE since the release that it had nothing to do with what Kimberly was putting out there. It had everything to do with you being an asshole and sharing that picture of Kimber, who then shared it to the world via Twitter. So either you're just a really dumb son of a bitch, or you're just that fucking jealous and that much of a prick. And to that I say, Dave Christ, fuck you.
Exactly.
Now there's the third part of this. There's 4 parts. This is part 3. Where the fuck does Zach even go from here? Because let's just go on and assume that everything with Kimber gets washed under becomes water under the bridge, and nothing comes out of it, and nothing happens within the legal system. I hate to say it, but this kind of puts as childish and goofy as it seems the picture was 7 years ago, it almost puts him in untouchable territory, kind of like a Jay Briscoe.
Mm,
Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure Tony Khan. I'm not saying this is his number one option,
oh no.
but I'm not sure Tony Khan is willing to take that kind of risk to start off for ROH, the ROH brand, or for AEW, which then leaves you with Impact. I guess it depends what side of the bed Scott D'Amore wakes up on one day. Otherwise, it could be just back to the Indies at this point. Not saying there's anything wrong with the Indies, but I mean, to go from a six-figure paying dream job in WWE to getting fucked out of that job and now find yourself scratching and clawing for whatever fees you're going to get out of convention signings or indie bookings, it makes for a harder life, to say the least. Now, here's the last part of it that I want to bring up. And it's the part that I know not many people are really going to bring up because all the focus right now is on Kimber and Nash and Dave. But this part has to be brought up. We all know that WWE is very anti-cruiserweight as far as their booking and creative the last 24 months.
Yeah.
Where the fuck does this put Wes Lee now?
Right.
Like, everything involving him was wrapped up in MSK and being a tag team. He may have wrestled one or two singles matches, but they were all within a tag team storyline program.
Right.
I mean, I know he's got. I mean, obviously his ring work is great. There's no doubting that. But like, does he have enough personality for them to take a shot with him as a singles competitor? Because think about it this way: Carmelo Hayes is what, 215?
Yeah.
Wes Lee is a $180 soaking wet.
I think he's a $190, but yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll give him $190. All
Yeah.
right. Carmelo ain't exactly a big 215. And I'm scared for what they'll do with him at the main roster if and when he gets brought up. Now try to think of what the fuck they're going to do with Wes Lee. Because what is there to do with him in NXT at this point? Now that Nash isn't there anymore. The only thing that makes any potential sense for me is if they end up splitting Orton and Riddle at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Is if they go back to the whole shaman thing and put Wes Lee with Riddle. That's the only thing I can possibly think of at this point. But again, that would mean Wes sitting at home doing nothing or mingling with NXT undercarders to fill time until that call comes to his phone.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, Wes gets caught in the crossfire and gets fucked in a way. And you kind of got to feel bad for Wes in that regard from a professional level.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, that's my 2 cents. I know it was long-winded, but I felt like the backstory had to be covered before leading into my points. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I don't know if you've had any interactions with Dave Christ in the past, so I haven't, so I can't speak for him on a personal level. I'm just interested in seeing what your viewpoints are and what you'd like to add to the whole situation.
So I haven't personally had any experiences with him, but I have enough acquaintances and, friends that have. And like when he got Me Too'd for sexual assault, the general consensus was I'm not surprised. And yeah, it was a low down, dirty fucking thing to do. Like, I'm not condoning the actions taken by Nash Carter. However, yes, he was still a teenager. He was young, dumb, and stupid. And also, there's also like an air of mystery around the actual photo because yes, he took it while he was shaving, and it the picture itself is cropped. You can tell it's cropped. So you can't even tell like they're trying to make it look like he's doing the salute when in all reality he was probably holding the phone out and his arm was up.
Yeah, I didn't even think to mention that, but yeah, that
Exactly.
the photo is cropped from. All right, so
It's literally just
basically,
his face, and you can see a little bit of his neck and shoulder.
right, you can't see what the left hand is doing, but it looks like the arm is completely down, and his right arm is kind of here, and it's like you see how my arm is cropped out of the picture. It's basically how his arm is cropped out of the picture. So I mean, granted, it's assumed
Right.
what he's doing in the picture, but you can't. You're right. You can't completely tell 100% if that's really what he's doing.
Plus, you can also tell that it was a young picture of him because he's got like 3 little tiny tattoos right here. It's not the Nash Carter that's completely inked up like he is now. It was funny. I was actually having a group chat conversation with Gladbad about that, and he was just like, "He's got to be an adult. He has ink." I'm like, "Dude, like you can get ink at 16 with parental consent or a guardian." He was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, dude, we're old. Shit's changed." Is like either that or you just got to have a friend that's got a gun and does shit out of his house. Like there's ways around shit. But yeah, and who's to say what other news is going to come out? Like maybe freaking Dave Christ is like, maybe him and Kimber are having an affair on the side for God knows what we know. Which I feel sorry for Kimber, but she has a track record of finding herself in toxic relationships. As far as Wes goes, there's a couple scenarios they could do with them if they don't want to, because obviously, like, they don't want to guilty by association him. And it's a hard time because April 15th is coming up real quick, and April 15th has been one of those massive cut days for WWE every year for the past few years. So I'm expecting next week's episode where we go run down the next list of future endeavors. And I'm hoping he's not on that list. There's a few different options they can put him in, and it all depends on how well he is received by NXT management. Because Bruce Pritchard's a fucking idiot, as we've established. I mean, they could very well find a way to put him with Mello and Trick. They could do some shit where, because Fabian Eichner's on his own now, they do some strange bedfellow shit and put the two of them together. Time's gonna tell with him. I hope, I wish the best for him and that he doesn't end up getting the shaft. And as far as where Nash can land, I think once a little more of this has like cycled through and all that stuff, I think he'll get his job back in Impact. Because Trey Miguel's still there. Trey will put in a good word for him. And I mean, and that's the like I understand why WWE had to do what they had to do. They're a publicly traded company, but it's pretty obvious Nash Carter does not have that mindset. Just judging his best friends, Wesley and Trey Miguel, are both of a minority descent, and the three of them are like brothers. Like there isn't a racist bone in that kid's body. Just he did something stupid when he was a kid, and it came back and bit him in the ass, and that really sucks. But I think eventually he'll land on his feet. Like I said, I think D'Amore, like, and the Rascals left Impact on good terms. So I think D'Amore will be willing to give him another shot. And I mean, there's always, like I said, there's indie dates. I'd say MLW, but they're kind of having some issues, which I'm sure we'll get to a little bit later in the show. I mean, he could very well try his hand in Mexico. Like, he'll do what he has to do. And I'm just hoping he comes out okay on the other side of this, because yeah, we all make mistakes. This was a very, very, very big mistake. I will not deny that. But it's, the dude, this is one of those of, someone deserving a second chance. Really, he will eventually. It's hilarious how people, Titus, he agrees. It's amazing how people just jump to all these conclusions online and they're all blah, 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 Nazi this, Nazi that. And I'm like, people don't want to research the full story. They just want to, it's your typical social media. We read the headline and we don't read the actual story, yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, luckily, hopefully like someone who listens to this will have the full detail spectrum on this now. I mean, because as it was like, as news was coming out, like I was, me and a couple other workers that, we have a group chat. Like I said, we were updating each other on the situation because we knew there was more to the story. And yeah, so here's hoping.
Yeah. It's a shitty situation all around, but in the end, I agree. I think Zach will land on his feet somewhere, somehow. Just a matter of where and when, honestly. And then Wes, it'll be a wait and see thing with him. Carmelo and Trick, you do mention them. That's an interesting. That there could be potential there.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially now that Melo doesn't have the North American title anymore, that could be intriguing.
Right.
And they could transition Trick to maybe being full-time mouthpiece instead of being 80% mouthpiece, 20% wrestler.
Right. At least until he's a lot less green. I mean, the kid's got a great look, but he's still green as shit.
Right. Exactly. That being said, I want to bring up one thing that I failed to bring up during last week's show. So last week on NXT.
Yeah, right. We were so pissed we didn't even get to this.
Last week on NXT, they were continuing, or at least it seemed like they were continuing the issues between Joe Gacy, Harland, Draco Anthony, and Zion Quinn, with a couple more vignettes by Gacy that seemed to be addressed towards Draco Anthony, to the point where after the first one they showed that night, they cut right to Draco Anthony, I believe was in the locker room again, or their fake locker room, whatever the fuck it was. Yeah. And Zion Quinn reassuring Draco that he had his back, and Draco actually snapped back at him and say, I got this.
Yeah.
Some stupid shit. But then we fast forward to the end of the show, after Braun Breaker successfully defends his newly regained NXT title against Gunta. And as the show's going off the air, they cut to Braun Breaker's father, Rick Steiner, tied up to a chair inside of what's, I believe,
a shark cage.
Yeah, I think that was the same cage that Cora Jade trapped, I think it was JC Jane in. I don't remember.
No, you know what that was? It was one of the War Games cages.
Oh, true, maybe. And then when they panned out, they showed Gacy and Harland with Rick Steiner. So apparently, as you can see if you're watching the YouTube version of this show, apparently kidnapping is now legal in NXT. And that was literally how the show ended, because they were up against it. They show Gacy, Harland, and Rick backstage, and it basically goes off the air with Braun standing in the ring looking befuddled like, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
Hey, Babu, how about another picnic basket? Like,
right. Instead of being like enraged and like, I'm gonna kill. No, just like, duh.
Right. Exactly. It was one of the more befuddling moments I've seen in a while, as far as how NXT went off the air. Now, obviously, we know what this means. They're trying to factor in Joe towards being squashed in a title match against Braun.
Either that, or
at least you would assume that.
You would assume that either that, or they're about to freaking try to super push Harland out of nowhere, like oi.
Which doesn't make sense because he's had what, 2, maybe 3 matches on any kind of programming for WWE.
Maybe 4 or 5 tops, yeah.
Right. And then you just put the belt back on Braun, so it's not gonna
I mean, they obviously don't care about who holds the title with the amount of experience as we've shown with Braun. So, I mean, why
Well, they're
not?
not. I doubt they. I doubt they take it off Braun that quick just to throw it on another green guy.
This is Bruce Pritchard booking developmental. You think there's any rhyme or reason? If Vince says, I want freaking Braun Steiner up on the main roster by SummerSlam.
Look, I'm just gonna put this out there, okay? Because you just brought up the name Bruce Pritchard, so now I gotta say this.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bruce needs to wake up and realize he's not running an indie wrestling company in South Houston.
Mm-hmm.
This is NXT. Your creative has to make some kind of semblance of sense. Like, you're slowly drifting into a 1980s version of AEW is what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not good. That's no bueno.
Mm-hmm.
So either Vince needs to slap Bruce and say, "What the fuck, pal?" or something has to give at some point. Because you're at a point where now you're causing your own crowds, at least half of them it seemed like, to be futile against you. With the way you've booked your NXT title.
Well, it's because the actual fans are actually showing up now at the PC, and it's not.
Right.
It's
Consider yourself lucky you have Cameron Grimes as your North American champion to kind of save the day. The tag titles, who knows what the fuck you're about to do with those.
I fucking swear, if they put them on the goddamn Green Brothers tomorrow night.
I don't think they're just gonna. Well, I don't know.
God fucking knows. Pritchard's that fucking stupid. He's like, well, look, he's over with the crowd. No, he's over with his fucking friends and family.
Right. I mean,
if they have a brain, they'll put him on GYV.
Good luck with that. When's the last time GYV was even on television?
They won a tag match on Level Up 2 weeks ago.
All right, we're not.
I know.
TV, not Peacock.
I know.
No, I don't. You know what? I don't think they put it on the creeds.
God, I hope not.
Well, I'll explain. I'll tell you why. Because they have. I don't think they put the belts on them right away, considering. I think they want them to work the program with. Was it Pretty Deadly? I think they'd rather have them work a program with them first without the belts.
You would think.
Yeah, right. Right.
But I mean, then really, who do you put the tag belts on? I mean, like I said, GYV would be the smart choice. Blade and Inoue are getting a little bit of a push on the secondary show. So you might be able to go just to, as far as trying to give them that rub to see how well. Can't do it on Jacket Time. They've jobbed out to everyone and everything.
Jacket Time!
And you really, Briggs and Jensen, you've kind of, Briggs and Jensen and Legato have both kind of, their stock is kind of low right now. Like, right. Because they've been used as whatever is. And that was something else I didn't get to last week because we were so pissed off at everything that happened. They're literally just cycling through experienced guys in NXT, putting them up against the greenhorns they're trying to push. They're just like, it's like they're just like doing like Yahtzee with them because they just don't care, because now they're going to put Santos in a program with D'Angelo and they're both heels. And it's literally because D'Angelo has no one else experienced to work with.
It would be funny, but would be kind of funny, but also kind of stupid at the same time. Because this is the kind of thing fucking Bruce Pritchard would do. If he decides to abandon the creative that he built over the last month or so with these guys and somehow made it that Indy Hartwell and Persia Parada kissed and made up, and he just randomly decided to put Dexter Lumis and Duke Hudson together.
Oh, that would be bad.
I know, but it's Bruce Pritchard, so I'm not ruling anything out at this point. One other.
Oh my God!
What?
It's Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah.
He would rehash the fucking Jamie Noble, Nydia, Tori Wilson, Billy Gunn storyline.
Ignore that you just said that.
Because all of them are already freaking falling all over each other because they're all making out there with each other all the time. Literally, dude, you hit the nail on the fucking head.
I'm gonna pretend. Wait, isn't Jamie Noble a producer for NXT too?
No, Jamie Noble's agenting up on the main roster.
Oh, right, he is in the main roster. I could have swore I saw him at NXT. I don't know. Anyways, one other quick note involving NXT talent, not necessarily NXT the show.
Yeah.
So apparently, it sounds like. Now I don't know if this is going to be anytime soon or if this is just a long-term thought. There's talk of LA Knight getting called up pretty soon.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
I don't put any stock in the second part of that rumor.
The talk on the street is that he'd be called up as a mouthpiece and manager, but not as a wrestler right away.
I highly doubt that.
Yeah, me too. But
2 reasons. 1, Vince has no use for managers on the main roster. That's been established time and time again, unless there is an extenuating circumstance, like fucking, Omos obviously needs a mouthpiece, so they put MVP with him, but MVP is still an in-ring talent. This is just one of those. This is the same thing as like the stupid ass rumor that went around that they were gonna make Adam Cole a manager, and the only basis they had for that was that fucking Cornette gave a hypothetical one day and fucking Meltzer ran with that shit. And even the fact that rumor still persists to this day where people are like, they were going to make Adam Cole a manager. Even after fucking Adam Cole came out in an interview and said, no, that was never on the table.
Yeah, it would never be on the table for Adam Cole. All right. So we finally get to SmackDown last week. The SmackDown After Mania, as I'll call it.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I found myself more into this than Raw After Mania,
which is good.
Good for SmackDown.
Yeah.
I don't know what that says about Raw right now, but it's good for SmackDown.
Yeah.
Except for the opening segment, honestly, the less Ronda Rousey on the mic, the better for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. See, Ronda is someone that needs a mouthpiece. So if they were to put LA Knight with anyone, give Ronda LA Knight. I don't even care for the dude, but he'd be a good mouthpiece for her.
Oh, fuck it. Just call up Stokely Hathaway and save him from Diamond Mine.
Oh, God. I would love that, but...
I know.
LA can get over as a babyface mouthpiece.
They're going to keep Stokely down in NXT until MVP decides, fuck it, I'm retiring. And then they'll
exactly.
call him Omos.
Right.
So it opens with Rousey in the ring being interviewed by Kayla Braxton, to which she challenges Charlotte to an I Quit match for Backlash. Charlotte says no, but then 24 hours, well, I'll get to the 24 hours later. Then our first match, Xavier Woods beats Butch with a small package.
Which is his new finisher, he says.
The Backwoods.
Yeah, you know something? This storyline already happened once before. Daniel Bryan.
I know.
Mr. Small Package.
I know.
And the problem is, no one would remember it if they didn't just cover it in the goddamn new fucking Evil series.
I know. Then we get the main roster debut of Marcel Bartel under his new name, Ludwig Kaiser.
Which, the fucking dirt sheets wrong again because they said his name was going to be Ludwig Klaus.
And he debuts as the side piece, essentially. Now, obviously, you're not going to have a guy that looks and wrestles like Bartel on the side very long.
Yeah.
But he basically came out and introduced Gunther, who then proceeded to squash some
local
Joe
talent.
Schmo indie talent named Joe Alonzo.
Yeah.
More than likely not his real name, but that was his name for the show. So that's 2 debuts. Then it's backed up by another debut as I think it was Kayla. Yeah, it was Kayla Braxton backstage. She interviewed by introducing Raquel Gonzalez, who's now Raquel Rodriguez, because we had to change her last name.
Well, Gonzalez is her actual legal name, so
whatever. Then she's cut off by Los Lotharios, who offered to give her a kiss. Raquel's like, not so much. And that was that. Whatever.
But I have to add, people are complaining about Raquel's name change. I'm like, and no one seems to remember that her name got changed in NXT too.
It's about trademark and copywriting.
Right, but she already had a name change. So like, why is everyone bitching?
Yeah, what was
like,
she? Was she originally?
She was Reina Gonzalez.
Reina, that's right. That's what she was.
And then she had to leave to get the breast reduction surgery.
Right, that's when she came in for the Mae Young Classic originally.
And she was on a few episodes of Back at Full Sail. She was on rotation.
Rotation. Sounds dirty. So then we get an episode of Happy Talk with Not So Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. And we all knew where this was going, basically. Corbin blames Moss for his loss to Drew McIntyre at Mania. And basically Corbin and Moss break up by brawling at the end of the segment.
Yeah, this is the typical, you won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, so now we're going to give you a 1 month push that leads to nowhere.
Basically. All they need is Paul Heyman and it'll be all set. Earlier in the night, Sami Zayn had been talking to Pierce backstage, so the next guy comes through the door, I'm going to face him one-on-one tonight, and it was Drew McIntyre. Nice job, Sami. Drew ends up being Sami by countout after Sami decides to go up through the crowd and walk away from the match. Whatever. Then we get a pre-tape of the returning Lacey Evans.
Let me correct you. Lacey and Evans.
So you decided to take a gimmick that actually worked for her and just say, fuck it, basically. I'm not saying it was the greatest gimmick in the world, but she pulled it off nice.
And it's now, like, it's not like it was it's not like, oh, this is her gimmick in NXT and now we're repackaging her. That was her gimmick on Raw, and she was getting pushed for the fucking title when her dumbass got knocked up.
Yep. Which is funny because she got knocked up while she was with Ric Flair, but never mind. Right. There's a Ric Flair joke in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So then after the pre-tape, Liv Morgan beats Sasha in a one-on-one match to tease, which, by the way, is not even part of the preview on the WWE website today for Raw tonight. They don't even have a tease for the women's tag title match with Sasha and Naomi facing Rhea and Liv. Gee, I wonder why. I guess that's foreshadowing what's going to happen tonight.
Right.
But whatever. Then we come to the end of the night. Roman comes out to do a promo, where the big thing was, what's Roman gonna do next? What's his plans now? And it turned out he turns to us and says, I've got all the gold in my division. Why don't you go get yours? And basically tells him to go get the Raw tag titles.
Which, if they decide to unify the tag belts, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, nobody's gonna be mad at that because you have a limitation. Limitation? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Limitation on the amount of tag teams you have on each show, anyway. So
right,
you're not gonna harm anyone there. After he says that, Shinsuke comes out, obviously sans Rick Boogs. Yeah. Well wishes to him, who's had his surgery already. Is apparently back training with crutches. I don't know how he does it, but good for him.
Ask Chris Dickinson.
Fucking freak. Yeah, I know, right? I think they're from the same genetic pool, kind of.
The two of them should start emailing each other.
Right. Shinsuke comes out. He's about to speak. Roman cuts him off and says, No, I got this. Then decides to Michael Corleone him and give him a hug of death, essentially. Said he wanted to spread the bloodline love, and he hugged Shinsuke because he felt bad for him.
Bring it in.
And then after Roman hugged him, there was those super kick, Shin, and Shin half sells the kick as they go off the air. So obviously it looks like they're trying to set up Shin versus
Roman
for what?
Backlash.
Sure. We'll go with that.
It'll be a good program.
And then after Backlash is Hell in a Cell. And my assumption, this might be a bit of a... I think it's pretty accurate, actually. I think Brock stays out of sight, out of mind until before Hell in a Cell. And I have a weird feeling they're going to put Brock and Roman in Hell in a Cell. That's my feeling. I'm not sure it's an accurate feeling, but it's a feeling.
I don't know if they're going to put him in Hell in a Cell. I think they're going to hold off Brock until the night after Hell in a Cell. And advertise Roman and Brock for Money in the Bank
Oh,
because
it's Vegas.
that's in Vegas and that they need to sell out that stadium.
It's Vegas, baby. Um, so two notes coming out of SmackDown. Number one, apparently two guys were working backstage at SmackDown. The artist formerly known as Curtis Axel, Joe Hennig,
Yep.
and Arya Davari was also backstage working.
Yep.
My assumption is they were auditioning for producer or agent roles with the company.
Yeah,
I'm
they're there
assuming
on a
got
trial
hired.
basis right now.
Right. Then the other thing was um, one thing I skipped over when mentioning SmackDown. Roughly a half hour after the opening segment, Ronda was shown going into Pierce's office while Jinder Mahal was demanding an Intercontinental title match with Ricochet, which he got for this coming week.
Yep.
And Ronda was like, I want my rematch. And Adam is like, I'll give you an answer in 24 hours. Sure enough, on WWE Twitter the next day, Charlotte Ronda I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash for the SmackDown Women's title. Because
Yeah.
fuck all. Let's announce everything on social media these days.
Yeah.
So that's the fallout from that.
Yeah. I love the IWC bitching and whining about the Intercontinental title never getting defended and Ricochet never being on TV when now this week is going to be his second title defense in 3 weeks.
Yep.
And also the fact that people were bitching and whining that he wasn't on the SmackDown After Mania because he wrote on Twitter, thanks to WWE for letting me have the week off to spend time with my family at home with my son. And people are like, bro, he requested the week off. And here he is right back on TV. And of course, now everyone's like, he's just going to drop it to Jinder. He's getting buried. Like, how the fuck do you people aren't happy no matter what? It's utterly ridiculous how much the freaking internet bitches about anything surrounding the mid-card titles.
Lick my balls. That's what I would say. All right, real quick before we get into anything else, a preview of Raw tonight. Obviously, if you're watching this after Raw happens tonight, sorry, but fuck off. So Cody versus The Miz is booked.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we know about Veer Mahan against Rey Mysterio, aka a squash match.
Hope so.
One will hope. AJ Styles is scheduled to go against Damian Priest. I already mentioned the women's tag title match. But there's also one other thing being discussed, and I'm hoping you saw this already. If not, then you'll be... I don't know how you're going to be. I'm hoping pleasantly surprised. A certain someone is going to be in Detroit for Raw tonight, and there's talk of him being the newest member of Edge's stable with him
Tommaso?
and Priest. That's correct.
That's that rumor's been going around since right before Mania. Tommaso and Rhea are the ones that people have been saying.
I think Ciampa would be a good fit.
I don't know. I kind of want Tommaso to stand on his own his first foray onto the main. I don't need him to be a follower.
Well, I agree you don't need him to be a follower, but I think if you're going to have him be a follower, that's not the worst scenario in the world.
Speaking of, one thing we didn't cover on SmackDown, it looks like they are sowing the seed super early to split Pete Dunne off from Sheamus and Ridge. It's kind of like what I said a couple of weeks ago.
To do what?
To be his own fucking thing. To be like so the way Pete Dunne's been playing this Butch character is very reminiscent of the way Pete Dunne was during the UK Championship tournament when NXT UK first launched. Very, I'm just gonna fuck everyone up because I want to. And I don't want anyone holding me back. And it works for Pete Dunne. And the thing is, and it's like I said, I think I think people realize that he doesn't work with Sheamus and Ridge like as a third banana, and people just kind of want to see him fuck shit up. And so that's and it's like I said a few weeks ago, it was just like he's just gonna be like, I'm sick of this. I'm nobody's bitch, and I'm nobody's butch. My name's Pete Dunne.
Well played, sir. Nobody's bitch and nobody's butch. Well done.
Exactly.
I do have a note of sad news to bring to you. Well, it's more rumor than news. Have you seen who is being discussed for an on-screen role with WWE?
That is a bunch of Meltzer bullshit. I'm telling you, because I'll tell you. You want to know my thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
No, no, no. Back in the cage. Back in the cage.
The fuck's with the spray bottle? What is she, a cat?
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. Oh. For those who don't get the reference, there's talk that it's not just Meltzer, though. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the quote that I saw was from a Brandy Rhodes interview over the last week or so.
That's nice. Brandy Rose can say whatever the fuck she wants. Doesn't mean it's true.
I know. But the worst part of it is, as a valet, whatever, fine. Just don't get on the fucking mic. Let Cody do the talking. The worst part is that she also dropped the "or as a wrestler" part, and I was like,
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Please fucking no.
That ain't fucking happening.
But yeah, any hooser. Let's get to these fuckholes from AEW. But first, while you pull up your notes, let me tell you a little something about our friends over at Mohawk Honda in Scotia Glenville. This spring, it's the perfect time to get top dollar for your trade-in with the return of the Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash Offer, where when you bring in your vehicle to trade in, you can get a check in your hand the same day. No waiting 7 to 10 business days for a check to be processed and mailed to your home. No, fuck that. You're going to get it same day in hand at the dealership, no questions asked. The new vehicle inventory, at Mohawk Honda continues to roll in. If you want to follow the newest vehicles coming in, you can follow Mohawk Honda on their social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and the such. And you can also head over to Mohawk Honda's Facebook page to find out about this year's pet adoption clinic coming up on April the 24th. That is less than 2 weeks from now if you're checking this out around the time that we're taping this, which is April 11th. That would be a Sunday, by the way. So make sure you check that out for a great cause. All the Mohawk Honda sales and leasing consultants will work with you to find the best vehicle for your budget and lifestyle. And I can tell you right now, me and the wife, we're working on something ourselves as we're potentially looking to trade in both of our vehicles for one singular vehicle. We're talking to our good friend Ken McKenna over at Mohawk Honda about that. So we'll keep you posted on how that goes. That being said, though, make sure you visit Mohawk Honda in Scotia Glenville this spring for the Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash Offer. Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you. That being said, Mr. Alexander, have you pulled up your notes from AEW?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we opened the show with you breaking the microphone, apparently. And that was if you happen to pay attention to New York City Sports Talk Radio with the Michael K show, that was very much a Don LaGreca moment he just had, where he decided to knock the microphone down out of the screen. Way to go, Don. How you doing, Don? Good job. There you go.
The clamp was a little loose on the desk.
There you go. Don LaGreca, by the way, yes. Brother of Dave LaGreca, just so you know.
Does he need heart medication as well?
With the way he rants sometimes, yeah, probably.
Jesus.
Don's the better talent of the two, though, so it's okay. Dave's just a mooch. Eddie Hooser. Let's not get into that. So we opened AEW Dynamite last week with Bebe beating Christian, because we didn't see that coming.
Is this Christian outworking everyone?
This is Christian jobbing to everyone. And then after the match, a brawl ensues where Red Dragon comes out, then Jurassic Express comes out, and Adam Page comes out.
Oh, look, an afterbirth.
And basically leads to this is a whole ball of wax that I wanted to save, but fuck it. It opened the show, so we'll open our AEW coverage with this. So Cole is not only granted a championship rematch, because apparently Adam Page, he's a champion that can do that with Tony Khan's blessings, but because they're back in Garland, Texas this week for Dynamite.
And it's a live. No, it's not Dynamite. It's Rampage.
Excuse me. A live Rampage this coming Friday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific. In case you don't know your fucking time zones. Why it's on 7 p.m.? It's a great
Because
question. I have a feeling it's NBA on TNT.
no, yeah, it's because there's the NBA championship game.
The playoffs. So that means they're probably gonna have a doubleheader at 8 and 10:30 that night. Good to know. Good to know for the sports better in me. Anyways, so not only that, there's two kinds of stupid here. I'll get to the obvious one that Adam Page says in a second. When I get to the obvious one for me and you as a booker, me as somebody who works with the booker,
Mm-hmm.
you have a Battle of the Belt show
Mm-hmm.
scheduled for this Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
but you have over half your company's titles being defended on free TV the two shows before the fucking Battle of the Belt show.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got a title that's not even yours being defended, which we'll get to. We'll get to that. You know what I'm referencing. We'll get to it. Concussion Boy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We'll get to that. But you have your World Tag Team titles being defended on Wednesday night. I believe you have a second title being defended. I can't remember off the top of my head on Wednesday night. And now you have your world title being defended Friday night when you have Battle of the Belts on Saturday night. And the only
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
And the only title match you've booked so far for Battle of the Belts, or I should say announced so far, is Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa.
Oh, I thought they announced that it was Jade and Marina was going to be on that show too.
The only thing I've seen announced was, I'll double check, but the only thing I've seen announced was Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa, which they've been teasing for what? Basically since she won the belt in San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm going to tell you what's going to be the main event of Battle of the Belts, but I'm going to wait until we get through the end of Dynamite before I let you know that.
Well, then here we get to the second part of the stupidity. We're in Garland, Texas for a live edition of Rampage. What could we do for the world title rematch? Oh, I know. Let's have the third Texas death match of the year already.
Yep.
Because you had one at the start of the year with Archer. You had one... Didn't they have one with... Wasn't Britt and Thunder Rosa? I know they had a cage match, but the one before that, wasn't that?
No, it was Lights Out. No, I think this is the second Texas Death Match of the year, but there was a Texas Death Match right before the end of the year, which is why...
Oh, wasn't there one with Dustin and Archer?
Was that a Texas Death Match? I thought that was just a regular-ass match.
Not that one. There was one before.
I don't know.
Archer's had two death matches, and one of them happened to be with Paige.
The other Texas Death Match I remember was Archer and Moxley for the New Japan US belt back a few months.
Well, that was still when it was kind of...
That was last fall.
All right. Well, Eddie...
There was an audience.
Ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's overused. The Texas Death Match in AEW has become almost as played out as the Lights Out match in AEW. And the whole problem is that, number one, it's not even Texas Deathmatch rules. It's this weird conglomeration of whatever the fuck Tony Khan thinks a Texas Deathmatch is, because he obviously never watched wrestling prior to the Attitude Era.
Brain damage.
Cocaine.
Just nothing fucking makes sense. Nothing at all. By the way, they're in New Orleans on Wednesday. I was trying to think of that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose. I'm trying to see what else here. I could have sworn there was another title match for Dynamite. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't fucking remember. Who cares though? It's still stupid. What else? Oh, I was probably counting Concussion Boy for that's probably what I was doing. I was counting that one.
Yeah.
But anyways, allow me to move on so I don't stall anymore. So we have that opening segment because that all makes fucking sense.
Yep.
Then we have Samoa Joe beating Max Caster in a glorified squash match, essentially for in a Owen Hart tournament qualifying match.
That match was 4 minutes long and was absolute shite. Joe looked fucking terrible, blown up as fuck.
Because he was billed at 315. Samoa Joe should never be above 280.
Dude, I hate to break this to you. Joe's been above 300 pounds for a long ass time. They just kept billing him as 280.
Stop eating McDonald's.
Yeah, good luck on that.
I mean, Christ, I cut out McDonald's and Burger King in January, and I'm down fucking 40, 50 pounds the last 4 months.
I was calling Joe man boobs back in 06.
That's the only thing I still have. I got to work on that. Anyways, after the match with Joe, Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt are apparently a heel team now. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Is Sanjay actually going to be a talent, though, or is he just going to be mouthpiece?
Mouthpiece until fucking Tony Khan stops returning his texts too.
Oh, like Chavo. That's nice.
Yeah.
I think Jay was basically trying to call out Joe, and I don't fucking know, something weird.
Yeah, because that's going to be the quote unquote big storyline for Ring of Honor when Ring of Honor never gets a TV show.
Right. Then we had a pre-tape promo with William Regal and Danielson and Moxley. I don't remember what the fuck it was, but sure, it was a pre-tape promo. Probably just a bunch of bullshit. That's all. Then we had Sean Dean upsetting Sean Spears as Wardlow provided the distraction when he was beating up security to get near the ringside area. In another one of those stop, oh, someone's coming through a crowd moment. Fuck it. It doesn't make sense. Let me stop wrestling the guy in the ring because a dude is coming from 100 yards away that doesn't have a chance of getting in the ring and attacking me.
Yep.
Like, this shit don't make sense. Like, why would you be scared of a dude that's a football field away from you when you're in the middle of never mind.
Because they don't know how to produce television.
I need to stop asking questions. It's fucking stupid. I need to stop asking questions.
It's because it's still that indie mentality. Like, so if you were to run this angle at an indie show where you're in a small venue, like a Knights of Columbus, or even a National Guard armory.
Okay, that makes sense because it takes 12 steps to get from door to door.
Exactly. But because all these indie fucks can't get out of the indie mentality, they still treat a 5,000 seat arena like it's a National Guard armory where it's only 12 steps, and they pull this shit, and that doesn't translate, and therefore it makes no sense.
Oh, speaking of looking like an indie, bear with me for a moment.
Sure.
Our background might go black for a moment, but don't worry, I'll fix that. No, we don't want that. Okay.
I'll bear with you.
That.
These are my keto.
Bear with me, huh?
Yeah. These are my keto cookies.
You funny motherfucker. Good friend of the show, Carol, aka Mrs. Nocturne. I was able to have a conversation with her over the weekend, and she shared with me a picture of from where she was sitting at Dynamite.
Oh yeah.
Would you like Kay to explain what the problem is here?
Whole lot of empty seats.
Oh well, it was pre-show. That's not. It was more for the actual logistics of the setup. What's wrong with this setup?
I mean, it looks the same as pretty much every other AEW setup.
All right. Well, here's the problem. Unless you have a cushy seat straight on with the ring instead of a diagonal like she's at.
Right.
You can't see jack shit.
Yep.
Because the screens above the ring, like you can see one that has an AEW logo roughly. That doesn't show you the match like you would see at a WWE show. The only screens that show the match are the two side screens on the ramp area. So if you're across the arena from those screens and you just have a bad view of the show from your seat, you can't see jack shit. And why do I have oh my god, hold on. I'm working on it. Why
fucking Gazoo? No,
that was my fault. I don't know
why I
defaulted to that.
He's somehow messing shit up from remote, and we don't even know it.
I'm just there we go. Like like here, because so here's my thing. You don't have Cody anymore.
Mhm.
Is there any need anymore for anyone to enter through the center on a weekly basis?
Nope.
Okay. So why can't you find a way to redesign so you have a bigger screen in the middle and project the match on that screen instead of two 50-inch televisions trying to watch them from across the fucking arena?
Because that would involve investing in your setup budget instead of throwing all your money at talent.
Or video games that aren't out yet.
Jesus. I was going to bring that up too. I was going to bring that shit up eventually. Like,
And it will also involve intelligence. Then we get, anyways, do we get a pre-tape backstage with Best Friends and Wheeler Yuta?
which makes no sense because it's
Gonna make sense. It's gonna make sense when we get to the end of Rampage. It's gonna make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense there, but it's the whole like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You were my best friend. You the motherfuckers that kicked him out. You can't then be like, oh, like, no, that's not how this works.
Oh, so the whole Chuck and Trent not agreeing and Trent being a dick is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we get a pre-taped backstage brawl shown from earlier in the day of Santana Ortiz and Eddie Kingston attacking members of JAS. I believe it was Jericho and 2.0, if I remember correctly. Whatever the fuck they're called now.
They're still called 2.0. Their singular names have been changed.
Matt and Douchebag.
Matt,
Suspenders,
Magic
whatever.
Daddy Matt something. He's not Matt Lee anymore. He's Matt Menard.
Matt with my balls.
Yeah.
And then after they show that pre-tape, Eddie comes out and cuts a promo, which leads to, by the way, the booking of a six-man well, I don't know if it's booked as a 6-man tag or as a trios. I'll look that up.
It doesn't matter with AEW. They're going to use the wrong term eventually.
Which reminds me, because I think I mentioned this last week, but fuck it, I'll mention it again this week. What's the point of having tag ropes at this point in AEW? Like, fuck it. You know what it was? I mentioned it. I think it was the.
You mentioned it to me.
Was it the FTR Bucks match? Did I mention that?
Probably.
Was it that? Hold on, let me see. Because I'm trying to remember. No, but it was a note I made about the FTR Bucks match because it's actually within our results for this show.
Mm-hmm.
What's the fucking point at this rate? Just don't even bother. Fuck it. Tag rules are optional.
You know the reason they're still there? It's because they're permanently tied onto the buckles with triple knots and no one knows how to undo them.
Somebody go get an Eagle Scout for me, please. I need an Eagle Scout stat. Undo the tag ropes for AEW rings. Jesus fuck. So then we get, guess what? We get another interview. This is Cargill and Smart Mark backstage with Tony, on the stage with Tony, excuse me. Then we get, guess what? Another interview.
Mm-hmm.
MJF and Spears with Alex Marvez. I think it was about Sean Dean getting the surprise win and MJF saying, fuck you, I'll beat you with my arms tied. I don't know.
Yeah.
And MJF showed a picture of himself today relaxing on a couch saying, this is how I'm prepping for Sean Dean. Yeah. That's nice.
Let me back it up for a minute just to the whole Kingston and Jericho Society thing.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to bring up that remember a few months ago when Eddie Kingston announced that he was quitting smoking and he was getting in shape because he wanted a world title run?
And how all the exhausted to walk around the ring for a promo.
And how the basement goblins ate it up. Well, I mean, Eddie still, I believe Eddie did quit smoking, and Eddie, eventually, I'm sure Eddie's working on his cardio, and there's nothing against Eddie. I love Eddie.
What kind of smoke are we talking about?
That too. But it's just funny how Eddie probably genuinely wanted to do this and probably presented it to Tony Khan as an option, and Tony Khan probably baby-faced him to his face and went, yeah, and it's never going to happen.
He wants to do the work.
It's just good. And like I said, I love Eddie because, Eddie's a modern day Terry Funk to me. But if you're looking at the aesthetics of television, you can't really see Eddie Kingston as your world champion. And that's not a knock against Eddie. It's just you look at you think professional wrestling, you think heavyweight champion, you think flag bearer for a company. Yes, Eddie looks unconventional. But if you're trying to make your company look relevant, you can't have a guy looking like Eddie does. And I hate to say that because I think Eddie absolutely deserves it. But I just know that it's never going to happen.
Which is funny because one of the reasons that Gunther apparently cut weight recently before being called up is because Vince doesn't like fat guys on TV.
Even though Gunther wasn't even fat. He was barrel chested.
Right.
Yeah.
He was correctly proportioned for a tall European guy.
Exactly.
But follow-up question to something you just said.
Yeah.
Who's more Terry Funk of 2022, Eddie or John Moxley?
Eddie.
Okay. Just wanted to throw it out there. Then we get the tables match from Hell.
Which is when I turned off Dynamite.
Your first elimination was in picture-in-picture.
I know.
And
Not to mention it didn't matter that there was an elimination because Jeff Hardy was part of the finish. Like the whole thing.
WWE has done the same thing before.
Yeah, but
and I'll even give you the exact match that I'm thinking of. Do you remember?
Hardys and Dudleys?
Wrong,
Yeah.
sir. Not the match I was thinking of.
Oh.
There was a handicap tables match at a Royal Rumble with 3-minute warning and Rico against Jeff Hardy and I believe Bubba Ray Dudley.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's when Devon came out afterwards and reunited with Bubba.
Yep.
And I believe, was it Jeff that got... No, Bubba got eliminated, I think, early on. And he helped... him and Devon technically got the last elimination on Rico because I believe that's when they 3D'd Rico through the table to give Jeff and Bubba the win.
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing to your arm? Are you putting on like Icy Hot or some shit?
Yeah.
Huh, I'm good. But yeah, what the fuck?
It's the whole thing is just, and the fucking stupid ass fucking sock face sitting there on commentary trying to explain, oh, well, that one doesn't count because it wasn't an offensive move. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Don't give me that an offensive move has to happen.
Sock face.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Don't tell me it has to be an offensive move when you look at table matches in the history of tables matches. Fucking Sheamus winning the fucking world title against Cena was because Cena just fell backwards through a table. Cody beating Big Show for the Intercontinental title was literally
because
just
Big Show happened to step off the apron.
Right. Yeah. You can't give me that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a fucking offensive move. Just shut the fuck up with that shit. Because that was my complaint back in the day with, and I'll reference Hardys versus Dudleys on Raw tag title match because the finish was Bubba giving Jeff the Bubba Bomb off the stage through the table. I'm like, well, they both went through the table. So who the fuck says who the fuck won?
Right. Yeah, true. But that's not even the worst of it. The worst of it is after the fact. Because apparently, unless I'm reading the room wrong, are we really trying to build Sting versus Andrade? Is that what we're fucking doing?
Yep.
We're building Juice McGee against
Jesus Crow.
Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, we'll go with that. I'm not even going to correct it. I'll just go with it. Then we go to another pair of guys who apparently don't need Tony Khan to go to the rankings to figure out their next title defense. Jurassic Express do a backstage promo, extending an invitation to defend their titles against Red Dragon on Dynamite the following week.
That's the other tag match you were thinking of.
So here we go with
the other title match, yeah.
Here we go with fucking another champion saying, you know what? Fuck your rankings, Tony. I got this.
Well, the rankings, it doesn't matter. They keep putting this wins and losses, rankings, blah, 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 blah. To this day, Sting and Darby are still undefeated as a tag team. Why are they not ranked number 1?
Because they're faces. They don't want faces against faces.
Really? That's going to be your argument? We've seen plenty of face versus face matches on AEW in the last few weeks.
I know. Then we had a promo package for Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa because they really needed it for Battle of the Belts 2, which is coming up this coming Saturday. Yay.
So it is this Saturday. It's the 14th
Yes.
or the 15th.
No, the 16th.
16th. Yes, that's what I meant.
16th. It's also known as Holy Saturday in the world of.
It's also known as your taxes are fucking late day.
Basically, yes. Yes, it's Holy Saturday for those of you who follow what I don't follow anymore. Then we have a backstage pre-tape between Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm because that's the match we all want to see. Then we get a Carl Sheeta returning. Was this the first time in TV in like 6 months or something? It's been a while.
It's been like 2.5.
It's been a while.
It's been like 2.5 months.
Well, anyway, she beats Julia Hart in an Owen Hart qualifier match.
Yay!
Julia Hart throws out Varsity Blondes early in the match from ringside because I guess
they're still
Julia Hart heel
because they're still trying to.
Patch.
Yeah, they're still trying to hold on to that semblance of a House of Black tie-in.
Even though House of Black has nothing to do with them anymore. Then we get, guess what? Another backstage promo with Swerve.
You jinxed yourself last week, bro.
Well, the tag match?
Yeah, you were like, it's going to happen on Rampage because the whole rest of this, the whole.
Yeah, they're actually going to put it on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Swerve's Dynamite debut is going to be in a tag match against Hobbs and Ricky Starks. Fucking lovely. And they had to put Hobbs through a fake wall. They just had to do that.
Yep.
God forbid. Then your main event, FTR retains the AAA and Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles over the Young Bucks, which I would say was a semi-pleasant surprise to see.
I honestly thought that the FTR was doing the job, but it was at the last minute of the show that I realized why they weren't.
Oh, will you please share with the crowd?
That's going to be your main event for Battle of the Belts. The rematch.
We're going to do FTR
for the AAA
Bucks
belts.
3.
Yeah, for the AAA belts because that AAA show is fast approaching and their tag champions are not booked on it, but the Young Bucks are.
No.
And you know the Bucks, they're like, oh look, we're Christ-like. We gave FTR a win, so now we have to get our win back.
Christ-like? Did we just say that?
We're very pious. We're very giving. We did the
Twitter.
job. We did the job in the main event.
Don't do the job on Twitter.
Over. Like and fuck it, just everyone would like, oh my god, FTR are on a new level now because they had 2 of the greatest matches ever within a span of 5 days of each other. Give me a fucking break. And this is coming from someone who is a giant fucking Revival fan.
Right.
They can suck a fucking dick now. Like, okay, oh no. So Cash Wheeler, I think, can be okay. Dax Harwood can go fuck off. Like everything he has done since they left WWE, like it just he needs to.
Cash keeps his mouth shut.
Exactly.
The only time Cash says anything is if he's trying to push a booking he has. That's all it does.
Right.
Otherwise, Dax is the over-the-top loudmouth of the group.
Exactly. And Dax needs to fucking know his fucking place and shut up.
And notice how Dax is the only one that's pushing the whole Bret Hart narrative out there.
Mm-hmm. I guarantee, because this is also what I think.
Oh, did you see the picture of Bret Hart wearing an FTR shirt this week? Oh my god!
Oh jeez!
He was wearing a Midnight Express logoed FTR shirt. Oh my god!
Oh Jesus! So this is my thought. FTR's contract with AEW is either up soon or was about to be up. It makes right. Because it's April, so
it's about that time, yeah.
Yeah, because they were released April 15th a couple years ago. So Tony Khan is doing everything he can to placate to them right now so they don't go back to WWE. So that's why he gave them the ROH tag belts. He gave them these two stellar matches within the course of a week. He's going to give them Bret Hart once Bret says, all right, give me $11 billion and I'll come in. and he's going to placate to them until they sign that renewal. Once that renewal is signed, they're going to go through all the same shit they went through the past 2 years all over again, because Dax's ego cannot see the forest through the trees.
I got nothing. I got nothing.
I'm telling you, if you think that the Bucks are gonna fucking sit back and let FTR stay over like this for more than a couple of weeks, you're sorely mistaken. These are the guys that, number one, have the biggest egos in the fucking business, and number two, book the tag division of the company they're in.
Makes you wonder how Jurassic Express is still on top right now. Anyways,
because it's going to be the Bucks running, because the Bucks are just leaving that. Well, number one, because Jungle Boy's buddies with them, so that's why like they're kind of left alone for right now. But it's also so once all this shit's said and done, now then the Bucks can be like, all right, now our AAA booking's out of the way. Now we're going to go back on top over here too, because Jurassic Express is going to drop the fucking belts to Red Dragon so they can do the custody of Adam Cole match, like I've been saying.
It's exactly what I was about to reference. Who's to say they're even going to be safe this Wednesday?
Right.
Because so maybe the Bucks aren't going to. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Fuck the Bucks.
The AAA belts are going to end up on the Bucks before the end of the month.
Well, they got 2 weeks to figure it out. Well, 3 weeks of television, because I want to say Triple Mania is the last weekend of, not the last weekend of April, but like.
Yeah, April 30th, I thought.
April 30th would be, April 30th would be a Saturday.
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah.
Because Rebellion's the Saturday before.
So they have 3 weeks of TV to figure their shit out.
Uh-huh.
Fuck. So let me get to Rampage. I'm assuming you don't have notes for Rampage?
No.
All right. Well, allow me to share.
Well, I know like because of the spoiler of everyone saying this is the greatest match since fucking God came on the fucking Red Sea.
Well, we're gonna get to that because I have a list of problems with just that one match. So
well, yeah.
Don't you worry. Don't you fucking worry. We'll get to that. So the show opens with Bryan Danielson beating Trent.
Yay.
Yeah, basically.
Who didn't see that coming?
And then we get Lexi Nair trying to interview Hook in the locker room while he has earbuds in.
Oh, yeah, I saw Danhausen pop out of the trash can.
You're trying to interview a dude when he has earbuds in with music. That's fucking smart. And then Danhausen pops out the trash cans. Hook's walking out. Hook says, fuck you.
That says everything about how they're using Danhausen in AEW.
And then Danhausen
having him in a trash can.
And yeah. And then Danhausen thinks the barbecue chips that Hook half ate were the source of Hook's powers. That's just stupid. Then we get a promo for Battle of the Belts, and then we get a video montage promo, not like an actual, you know what I mean. Tape package, that's what I meant. Then we had a promo with Sky Lambert and Ethan Page in the ring. Take Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara, come out to the top of the stage and interrupt them, and
the TNT title went from being the indie guy of the week title to and being defended every week to now it hasn't been defended in weeks, and we're just going to go back to the last guy that held it to have it. Like Sammy Guevara has been in the TNT title picture now since fucking Thanksgiving of last year.
Before that. Wasn't it? Well, who the fuck cares? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Just be blunt.
Yeah.
And this whole program with Ty and Sammy and AT&T, whatever the fuck they are. America's Top Team. There it is.
Yeah.
It's just it's
awful.
It's horrible TV, man. I can't believe nobody's fucking seeing this, but whatever.
Oh, people are seeing it. Like everyone's already turned on fucking Sammy and fucking Conti. Like I said, nobody cares about how much you fuck. Go away.
Sure. By the way, Ty, dish the fishnets. Nobody fucking needs that.
And I like fishnets, and that bitch makes me not like fishnets.
Who makes you dislike them more, her or Jamie Hayter?
I haven't seen Hayter wearing them, thank God.
Where the fuck have you been?
I usually turn off the TV when Jamie Hayter's on.
Oh, well, that explains that.
Just because from a logistics standpoint of being a worker, the fact
the worst fucking thing in the world.
Well, no, not only the reason I can't stand seeing Jamie Hayter on my television screen is because she breaks the cardinal rule of gear. There is a reason that female workers wear skin tone colored leggings or tights underneath their gear. It's a sanitary reason. Which is why I constantly make comments about Hayter's gear probably smelling like a 3-week-old tuna can.
Okay. I don't think I really need to nail that, but okay, thanks. Then we have Swerve squashing QT Marshall because
QT Marshall is the Brooklyn Brawler of AEW.
QT Marshall was Chris Jericho's Sports Entertainer of the Week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a thing now on Rampage.
Okay.
Because Chris Jericho's on commentary, so why not let him give out an award every week? Because fuck everything that makes sense in this world.
Boy.
Then we had what I thought was... all right, listen. Oh my God. For being a land of milk and honey and opportunity and all this shit that AEW claims to be, nobody wanted to see Red Velvet beat Willow Nightingale Friday night.
Nope, not at all.
And what did they give us? Red Velvet beating Willow Nightingale.
Right. Like, poor Willow Nightingale, like, good on you for getting a couple of fucking paydays from AEW. But seriously, like, just keep like, okay, if you get brought in to work on fucking YouTube, you're expected to do the job. When you get brought in to work pay-per-views and regular ass TV, give the girl a fucking win. Because all you're doing is lowering her stock on the indies.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Lufisto is on.
Yeah, I saw in a 6-man against Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho.
I love Lufisto, and she deserves way more than being on the goddamn fucking secondary YouTube channel.
I'm trying to remember who's on her team, by the way. I know it's Emi Sakura as one of them. I can't remember who the other teammate is.
It was another, yeah, it was. I've seen the graphic a bunch of times, but yeah, like.
I don't remember either. Then we get. Oh, by the way, Red Velvet beating Willow Nightingale. That was an Owen Hart tourney qualifier. Then we had a backstage pre-tape with Tony Nese. He was talking to, I don't fucking know.
The Wall, because nobody cares about Tony Nese.
I don't know, whoever the fuck was interviewing him. Then Smart Mark decided to interrupt him and said, let me offer you my services. Come with me. So now it looks like they're trying to pair Tony Nese with Smart Mark Sterling.
Great, let's put the two biggest douchebags you got together. Yeah.
So now we get to the grand moment of the night that I need to go off on a tangent about. So the main event was Moxley Wheeler Yuta 3 because we needed a third match between them apparently.
We're supposed to completely forget that Moxley squashed him in a fucking eliminator qualifier in a minute and a half back in December.
And then they fought each other again not too long ago. And now apparently putting the Ring of Honor Pure title on Yuta changes everything. So we're going to put him in the Ring of Mox again.
Of course.
So a lot of people since this broadcast Friday night have claimed that this was, and this isn't the exact quote everyone's using, but this is the 3-worded statement I'm going to label it as. They all want to view what happened on this Rampage as Wheeler Yuta's quote-unquote star-making moment.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem I have. Here's the multitude of problems I have, by the way. Number one, if it's such a star-making moment, tell your fucking production team to not put this main event star-making moment in the fucking match.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, either someone needs to tell Paul Turner how to cut somebody well, or Wheeler Yuta needs to be retaught how to cut himself well.
Wheeler Yuta never fucking learned.
And that's partially why I reached out to our friend Carol, by the way, because I was trying to figure out if she had a seat that had a good angle to see whether Yuta cut himself like an idiot or if Paul Turner cut Wheeler Yuta like an idiot. Because Paul Turner was the official of that match, and you can see Paul Turner clearly go out to Yuta after Mox stomps his face into the fucking stairs. So that's why I was questioning if it was Yuta who cut himself or if Turner did the job for him. Either way, whoever it was that did it, you fucking suck at it because you made him bleed like he was Dustin against Cody.
Yep.
Then, on top of that, for a star-making moment, blood, number one, is unnecessary.
Yep.
And number two, it's over the top at this point because part 2A of that, blood is extremely over-prevalent in AEW programming.
Yep.
And because of that, you having blood as part of this quote-unquote star-making moment completely diminishes it tenfold for Wheeler Yuta.
Yep.
Now, going further, we get to the end of the match. Mox eventually chokes out Yuta, whatever. Regal and Danielson then come out after the match. It looks like Regal wants to punch Yuta in the fucking face, but eventually they give time for Yuta to get his bearings, stand up. Wheeler Yuta looks like he's ready to defend himself, but instead Regal extends the hand, and Yuta shakes Regal's hand.
Mm-hmm.
Here's when we get to the super corny part of everything. Wheeler Yuta, as they are signing off on the air on TNT, decides it's a good idea to go like this with the blood on his forehead. Grab a string of it off his forehead, and then write BCC on his fucking chest. But we're not even at the worst part yet. It's a star-making moment, right? The best part of this star-making moment never even aired on Rampage before they went off the air. And it's not even part of the fucking YouTube clip they posted after the fact on their AEW YouTube channel. Because apparently, after the show went off the air already, or they just decided to edit poorly and timed it out so they couldn't put this into the... Because remember, Rampage was pre-taped on Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, Danielson did the honors and put the pure title around Yuta's waist. That's the whole point of the fucking match and the moment. And you can't put it in the fucking 60-minute show? Let alone, you could have used it as a YouTube special thing or a Twitter exclusive thing. And then fucking put it on there.
Or the fact that you are putting the title around the waist of the guy that just did the fucking job.
I had to find that out from Carol. It wasn't even in the fucking spoilers that were all over the internet. Everybody just assumed that Yuta was being put in BCC because the corny-ass BCC he wrote in blood on his fucking chest. Yet nobody fucking mentions the fact that Danielson puts the belt around fucking Yuta's waist after the match. No, let's gloss over that fact that one of the greatest Ring of Honor champions of all time put a Ring of Honor belt around the current Ring of Honor pure champion. Let's just gloss over that fact and not even fucking mention it. Like, what the fuck are we doing? For somebody who just bought Ring of Honor and apparently embraces and loves the history of the company, Tony Khan, you're a fucking retard.
Well, yeah. Cocaine.
Oh. Scarface strikes again.
And but that also goes along the line of something that I wanted to bring up because obviously mentioning what do you call it, between that and the mention of the title match that's happening this week on Dynamite. As long as Ring of Honor does not have its own television show, television, not YouTube, because we all know that's where it's going to fucking end up. As long as Ring of Honor doesn't have a television show, Featuring Ring of Honor titles on Dynamite and Rampage does nothing but diminish the value of the titles.
Yep.
Because all you've done now is this is the thing. This is what people have bitched at WWE for years is WWE has too many titles. Even though they don't. They have a primary. What the fuck happened to the background?
Because I'm going to show what you're referencing right now.
Okay. Yeah. They have a primary, a secondary, tag, and a women's on each show. And then besides that, I mean, the 24/7 title's there, but it doesn't really count. So they have a series, but here
and you have a women's tag titles. So you have,
the women's tag
titles. You have 9 quote unquote legitimate belts.
Right. And as it is, they're on 10. And as it is, they seem to be on the mission now to unify the primary, the tag, and the women's. So I think you pull the graphic back now. So what fucking AEW has done now is that's the wrong graphic.
I know, I'm getting there we go.
What AEW has done now is now they have their primary title, their secondary title, their women's title, their secondary women's title, which is complete bullshit, their tag title, and now you also have the primary Ring of Honor title, the secondary Ring of Honor title, the tertiary Ring of Honor title, the Ring of Honor women's title, and the tag titles. And God knows there's been talk in AEW of introducing a trios title. And the thing is, Ring of Honor, obviously they're going to have to vacate their trios title because one of their members is under contract to Impact now. Because Vincent and
right.
Yeah, exactly. So you just have all these, it would be the same as if more than just on those single occasion like they did Mania weekend, this would be as if WWE just decided to have the NXT and NXT North American titles defended on Raw and SmackDown every week for no reason. It diminishes the value of what supposedly it's going to be your developmental brand. So all it does is diminish the value of your developmental title. You have saturated your market with pieces of tin is what you have done. You cannot give any value to it because then your average viewer is going to turn on and be like, why the fuck is every other match here for a fucking belt? It's like every indie that sits there and makes freaking all these title matches. And so like you see this, you see a random ass indie that you can tell is run by a freaking money mark who goes, oh, we got 9 matches on the card and 7 of them are for titles. Like, no, then nothing's for a title. It's ridiculous. That's why for years back in the day, we had a heavyweight title and a light heavyweight title and a tag title, and that was it. And then we made a TV title just because we were doing a streaming show every week.
Right.
And we ended up unifying the TV title and the light heavyweight title along the line. So it really didn't matter. But it's utterly ridiculous how, and they're going to keep doing this until Tony Khan is like, it gets told by every network that no, we're not giving you any TV time, and he has to put Ring of Honor on fucking YouTube.
By the way, for those of you who are not paying attention, not watching the YouTube show and just doing the audio only version of the show, the graphic I showed while JJ was speaking was showing the announced Ring of Honor World Television title match that's going to be on Dynamite this week. Minoru Suzuki defending against Samoa Joe.
Which one of two things is going to happen. Either they're playing hot potato with this fucking belt, or we're going to get the obligatory schmaz of Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt coming out and fucking over Joe, which since AEW is not known to do DQ finishes or count out finishes, if you have Suzuki pin Joe after you just put all this stock into him, then Joe goes down that rabbit hole of every other big surprise that you've announced.
and then just does something. And
This is a complete no-win situation. Either Joe loses, and it doesn't matter that he lost dirty. Joe loses, and all of your shit goes out the fucking window, or Joe wins, and you have played hot potato with a belt with a tertiary title of a dead end company, and made Minoru Suzuki look like absolute shit after the fact that nobody's putting the stock in the fact that the ROH TV title is the very first title that Minoru Suzuki has ever won in the United States. But we're going to take that away from him after a 10-day reign.
By the way, did you hear that Jim Cornette called Bucks and FTR one of, if not the best AEW tag matches ever?
Yeah, I listened to that this morning when he was, because I listened to the clip because it went up on YouTube like around midnight.
Hey, guess what, Jim? It didn't take a whole hell of a lot to accomplish that.
Exactly, but also the thing is, and like I listened to his entire breakdown of that early. And this is one thing, like I said, I like listening to Cornette for his analysis on a lot of things, but number one, like it doesn't, like he is so, like the bar has been set so low with AEW that it doesn't take a lot to impress him. Whereas he was just like, they kept the match in the ring. Yeah, they kept the match in the ring. Big fucking deal. And he's got rose-colored glasses because it's FTR. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was still a fucking Young Bucks match. And the fact, like, and he's got the rose-colored glasses because the Young Bucks actually put FTR over. Yay, guess what? In the long run, it's not going to fucking matter. Forest for the trees.
All right, a couple quick AEW notes before we move on to notes from other places. Number one, AEW.
Well, we got a big note to go over.
Okay. It's probably one of the two I have in my mind. I have two big notes in my mind. But as far as AEW stuff is concerned, two things. Number one, it's been announced, no official date yet, but Blood and Guts will be returning to AEW sometime during the summer. I'll even make a prediction what it's going to be. It's going to be Jericho Appreciation Society against Kingston, Santana Ortiz, and two other people.
Probably.
Just calling it right now. Who those two other people are, not a fucking clue, but we'll find out sometime. Who knows? Maybe MSK shows up.
No.
I'm joking. It's a joke. Relax. Then the other piece of news involving AEW, Braun Strowman, because he's somebody to listen to. But he made a claim over the weekend. Tony Khan pays the dirt sheets, and that AEW wrestlers are blackballed from doing shows for Control Your Narrative.
Which, I mean, he may have some credence to that. And I mean, it's considering Tony Khan is all, I let my talent work indies wherever they want.
Yep. So there's that.
So you forgot the biggest story of the week.
Oh, there's a couple of things. If I missed it, then we'll circle back to it. Real quick, New Japan update. So at an event over the weekend, Sonata determined that he doesn't want the U.S. title sitting in limbo because he's not sure how soon he'll be back from his orbital bone fracture. So he vacated the belt over the weekend in the ring, which led to Hiroshi Tanahashi and Will Ospreay facing off in the ring and just fuck all, basically.
The match is going to be between them to determine a new champ.
Right, and we'll get to that. Over the weekend at, I don't remember the name of the show, but fuck it, whatever. We had 6 or 9 successfully defend their junior tag titles. Chi became the new King of Pro Wrestling temporary champ by beating Toru Yano. Who cares? We have new IWGP Tag Team Champions in Jeff Cobb and the Great Okan.
Interesting.
What else do we have here? Evil retained the Never Openweight title. I'm going to save for who his next challenge is going to be because I think you'll be happy about that. Because it involves the Wrestling Dantoku card that just came out. What else do we have here? Okada successfully defended his title as Zack Sabre Jr. cashed in his New Japan Cup winning opportunity and lost So there it is. It's done and over with already for ZSJ.
Thank God.
Um, and then El Desperado successfully defended the junior heavyweight title, and was called out by Taiji Ishimori. So that all being said, I just had a press conference the other day about this. So here's the card, the full card as of right now for Wrestling Dontaku on May the 1st.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to go in reverse order here, so bear with me as I slowly scroll this news page from the New Japan website as I get to the bottom. All right, so 6-man tag match. Hiromu Takahashi will team with Takagi and Tatsumi Fujinami. Yeah. They're going to take on ZSJ, Tai Chi, and Taka Michinoku. It's a harken back to their 50-year anniversary celebration because Fujinami apparently was in the very first ever New Japan Pro Wrestling match. So that's what that's in reference to. Then a special singles match as Tonga Loa will go against Yujiro Takahashi. Which is why I teased the never open weight title match for you. I'll get to that in a second. Junior tag titles will be defended as 6 or 9, which is Taguchi and Master Ueda.
Yeah.
They'll defend against Kanemaru and Doki. Sure. Then the new tag champs, Great Okan and Jeff Cobb, will defend in a 3-way against Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens, as well as Hiroki Goto and who is this guy? I have no name. I just have a face. Another member of Chaos. Sorry, I can't remember his name.
Okay.
Never openweight title. Evil will defend against Tama Tonga.
Yeah, baby.
Then junior heavyweight title, like was teased a moment ago. El Desperado will defend against Taiji Ishimori. U.S. title for the vacant U.S. title, Hiroshi Tanahashi against Will Ospreay. And then your main event for the IWGP World Heavyweight title, Okada, his 4th defense of the title against Tetsuya Naito.
They put on good matches, but kind of tired of Okada and Naito.
Understood.
There's the other news coming out of New Japan too. The streaming agreement.
Oh, with
AEW.
AEW.
Which people are so fucking stupid.
So AEW is going to be broadcast on New Japan World and for English broadcasts, I guess.
No. It's going to be the replays of Dynamite and Rampage with a Japanese-only commentary track.
Oh, okay.
But people are so fucking dumb that they're like, does this mean I can cancel my cable and just get New Japan? And they're like, why can't I find the app on the PlayStation Channel store? But here's why. Because New Japan World does not have a fucking app on anything. New Japan World can only be viewed via your web browser. This is why I only have a New Japan World subscription for maybe 1 month out of the year so I can watch Wrestle Kingdom, and I have to connect an HDMI cable from my fucking computer to my fucking TV so I can fucking watch it. It does not have an app, and people are stupid and not paying attention to the fact that it is replays and it is Japanese-only commentary. And then people also sit there and think, this is going to make AEW's crowd so much bigger. And the forbidden door has been blown open. And now Okada's going to show up on Dynamite. Yes, Okada's going to show up on Dynamite along with the Easter Bunny and the fucking Tooth Fairy. Suck a dick.
Okay. In other Japanese wrestling news, Otani was seriously injured at a 0-1 show over the weekend. And I'll change the banner here. So apparently he took a German suplex into the turnbuckles during the match at the Sumo Hall in Tokyo. Otani reportedly did not take the move well, was tended to, as fans were told to leave the building. And Otani was unable to move his extremities. I haven't seen any update yet.
There hasn't been. He's still in the hospital.
So, obviously the assumption would be some kind of spinal cord injury.
Yeah.
But again, no real updates yet as far as that's concerned. And obviously, if we hear anything, we'll keep you posted on the next episode of the show.
Another note of people not paying attention online to the entire story and being like, why do people do dumb moves like this? Blah, blah. They're just to pop a crowd. Like, number one, y'all need to realize Shinjiro Otani has been wrestling since before most of you were fucking born. Shinjiro Otani was the very first WCW Cruiserweight champion. That's how long he's had skin in the game. Sometimes accidents happen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't very well be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. This is why, this, that, the other thing. Like, no, don't try to play fucking armchair quarterback and be fucking knockoff Professor Mike Tenay when you don't even know that the guy you're fucking talking shit about has fucking wrestled fucking more matches in his fucking career than fucking God knows how many.
You know what those reactions remind me of, actually?
What?
The whole Seth Rollins Sting thing when he buckle bombed Sting and Sting got fucked up.
Dude, I've seen so many comparisons.
Yep. That's exactly the moment I was thinking of when you were going through all those reactions.
But the whole thing is everyone's blaming Otani for this and not the guy that gave him the German.
Oh, because that makes fucking sense.
Yeah.
Also, note coming out that it sounds like WWE. I know we covered WWE earlier, but they're already starting to plan out their next trip back to Saudi Arabia. It sounds like sometime around late October, early November, as of right now.
Yeah, Extreme Rules.
Nothing officially booked yet, but that's about the time frame they're looking at, is somewhere around Halloween-ish. Also, breaking news. I wish I had a breaking news sounder I could play, but fuck it. Thank you. We figured out what's going on with the NXT Tag Team titles since MSK had to vacate them. It has been announced there will be a 5-team gauntlet match on NXT this week. The members of the match will be Grayson Waller and Sanga.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Grayson Waller is a fucked up elbow, I thought.
Yep.
Legado del Fantasma.
Mm-hmm.
Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde.
Mm-hmm.
The Creed brothers. Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
And Pretty Deadly.
So Jacket Time's not even in it.
Jacket Time! No, Jacket Time will have their own commentary table during the match, and then somebody will crash to their table.
Von Wagner.
Oh. And
that's what they've been going with.
And then have that random ass chick sitting ringside for no fucking reason.
That's what they've been doing with, is Von Wagner attacking Jacket Time.
What is the deal with this fucking random chick, by the way?
It's another fucking new site.
I know it's... fucking no, I don't get anything. I think that's really it as far as... I know there's one thing you want to talk about quick, and I'll get to that, but I just want to double check, make sure. Yeah, there's nothing else.
Well, two things.
Well, I'm going to toss up the pitch for you to knock out of the park. I know you wanted to discuss MLW.
Yeah, that's one of them.
So I'm going to preface whatever else you have to say about MLW by saying this. So part of the mess of MLW is that what's his face, the guy that was playing Cesar Duran, he gone.
Yep.
So they had to do a last minute swerve, and within the means of their programming, find somebody new to lead. Now correct me if I'm wrong, he's leading the Lucha Underground portion of MLW, if I'm correct here, correct?
Well, no, he's the matchmaker for MLW.
Okay. Now it's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Yep.
Because nothing screams Cesar Duran like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I know it's a lot. They had to do what they could with what they had, but fuck. So that's part one. I'm trying to think. Did they have the Hammerstone Holiday match yet, or is that next month?
No, that's next month. That's
I thought so. So that's been booked, by the way. Richard Holiday, who just had to do the job on the Indies over the weekend, to Matt Cardona for the ASW heavyweight title to give make Matty 7 belts. Fucking Mark. Now they got Holiday going against Hammerstone for the MLW title next month. Any Hoosier. That's my rage about Matt Cardona for the week. Was there anything else about MLW you wanted to preach on real quick?
Los Parks.
Oh,
They're gone from the company.
They gone.
Yeah, like that wasn't storyline. Apparently, they went into business for themselves after a match was finished with Hammerstone and Fatu. Took some liberties, did some unprotected chair shots. Basically, God knows what the hell happened. I'm guessing it was frustrations on a money issue because MLW has been having money issues. That's why, like I said, Cesar Duran, Dario Cueto, the actor Luis Fernandez Gil. He's an actual SAG actor. He has to get paid like an actor.
Right.
Obviously he costs money, and obviously that money ran out. Obviously we know MLW is still entrenched in this lawsuit with WWE because God knows where that's going to go. And then on top of it, Los Parks, there was probably a money issue there. They went into business for themselves. Now Los Parks are gone, and Los Parks have been a part of MLW for a long ass time. Like that's a big loss. So MLW is not looking in good shape right now. They're definitely going to try to push for everything that they can as far as their next few big events, but things aren't looking good for the company.
Yeah, so basically, so the company, they had their show during Mania Week. Their upcoming events they have scheduled right now. They have Kings of the Coliseum next month, May 13th at 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, which will have the Hammerstone Holiday match. Then June 23rd, they're going to be at Melrose Ballroom in New York City for Battle Riot 4. And then July 16th at Cicero Stadium in Chicago. Considering it's a stadium, I'm going to assume it's a baseball stadium. So this is going to be an outdoor show. It's going to be a show entitled Never Say Never. So those are the
not a good name to use for an indie company that's on the ropes.
Right. So those are the 3 shows on their calendar right now, and apparently they're looking at sites across the South, and they're looking for fan input on where they should go, because that's always a good idea when you're booking venues. Let's ask the people where we should fucking go. Fucking whatever. What was the other thing that you wanted to bring up that I missed so far?
The big AEW story of the week.
Go ahead.
Tony Khan's cocaine-fueled Twitter rant.
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Negated and then doubled down on.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right. The screen's going to look weird if you're watching on YouTube, but fuck it, I have to. So this is the tweet that Mr. JJ is referring to. If I can find it, here we go. Tweet says, quote, an independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-AEW online community aren't real individuals, just staff running thousands of accounts and an army of bots to signal boost them. Look closely. These aren't real people. Who would have such a wildly expensive thing?
See, I'd expect a tweet like that to come out of Dave Meltzer. I wouldn't expect it to come out of the owner of the company.
And then we get some funny replies to it. Like, people really jumped on the bandwagon to make fun of him. One of them being Becky Lynch. She said, an independent study confirmed that much of the staunch anti-Becky in-arena booers aren't real individuals and staff running thousands of AI, an army of bots. Look closely. These aren't real people. Who'd pay for such a wildly expensive thing? Evil Uno jumped on it saying,
Evil Uno gonna get fired.
An independent study has confirmed that much of the staunch anti-Evil Uno online community aren't real, and so on and so forth. And then the guy who killed the whole joke was Vince Russo. Because fuck Vince Russo.
Yeah.
Hey, it popped back to our actual banner this time.
Yeah. And like,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go. Yeah.
Like, it was bad enough that he did that, and then he kind of like backtracked, but then he decided to double down and then released more info and said that this independent study was Now, he made it perfectly clear that it wasn't run by the analytics company that the Khan family owns, which
maybe you should have gone with the analytics company that you actually own, because then you would find out that you're full of shit.
no, he said that he basically paid someone like 6 figures and one person to do this independent study. When you pay one person to do an independent study and you give them 6 figures, they're going to tell you whatever the fuck you want.
Because the kicker was when people said, okay,
Show us proof.
his response was the typical online stupid ass fucking boomer fucking response of do your own research.
Of course.
Because nothing says I have proof like I'm not going to show you my proof.
I like this fucking it's no. Like
How and this comes on the heels of like some other stuff like that just it's because Tony Khan's on this fucking whole like
bullshit fucking warpath of I'm gonna make Rampage this big thing again, so I'm gonna throw all this money at shit to try and do it, and he's on he's on that thing like suddenly Busted Open has a giant billboard around around a fucking spot in Times Square, and like no, as far as talk radio shows go on Sirius XM, Busted Open isn't even in like the top 25. So that Tony Khan is paying Sirius XM to use that space because Tony Khan uses Busted Open to push Dynamite and Rampage. Like, it doesn't take the Charlie Day conspiracy board to figure out that line of logic. It's pretty cut and dry. You cannot be taken seriously as a company owner when you put out shit like this. You would like people want to talk about Vince McMahon being senile. Vince might be slightly senile. He would never do this.
And physically unbalanced.
Yeah. Well, I mean, man's in his 70s. Like, it happens.
I know.
Still in pretty good shape for a guy in his 70s. Like, I'd be happy to be in that kind of shape when I'm in my 70s. But it's unfucking believable. And the fact, like, of course, the niche internet basement goblins are all over, like, oh my God, he's so right. Because all these people, all they do is laugh, react to shit that I say. Yeah, you know why? Because y'all are fucking stupid. That's why. Like, am I a bot? Because I talk a lot of shit about AEW.
I mean, some of your body parts might be robotic. I'm just saying, you've been through enough shit. You might be the $6 billion man. I don't fucking know.
I'm telling you, I'm completely human.
Oh shit!
I can't believe that someone would go to lengths like this to try to pull this kind of bullshit, and then just fucking keep up. Like, the dude he is the reincarnation of fucking Herb Abrams. Like, he is just paranoid, fucking coked out, fucking indie promoter.
Oh God. Oh no. Oh. You had to bring that name up. Oh God.
You've never drawn the parallel?
Because we always go to Scarface. I never really. Oh God.
Oh, that's dude. He's Herb Abrams all the fucking way, dude.
Fuck me. I mean, at least he's not. Well, maybe he will. I won't even say that. Never mind. Okay. So a couple. Go ahead.
Did you see how he like fucking? Now he's all bitchy because he was at the UFC thing over the weekend. Did you see the picture?
I saw he was there.
He was there with JR. He made JR wear his AEW staff shirt so he could point at the logo on it. Oh, but here's where it gets better. They misspelled Tony Khan's name on the fucking bottom third. And they didn't mention AEW. They said co-owner Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, you know why.
Because nobody knows about fucking AEW.
Well, two things. Right? Two things. Number one, it was an ESPN broadcast, so naturally going to go to NFL before they ever mention pro wrestling.
Well,
And number two, ESPN's in bed with WWE. They would never even fucking bother.
Exactly. Right. It's just, it's not like, and the dude just won't fucking stop. Like, I don't fucking get it.
Can't stop, won't stop. All right, a couple quick notes before we get out of here. Number one, congrats to Alexa Bliss and Ryan Cabrera for tying the knot over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That would explain why Alexa Bliss hasn't been seen in a couple of months since Elimination Chamber.
Right, just planning a wedding.
Planning a fucking wedding.
Right.
And being the 90s baby she is, right, and Ryan Cabrera having connections in the music business. And Sync was there for the fucking reception. Good for them.
Cool.
Number two, new edition of Broken Skull Sessions coming out on Peacock this Friday, featuring special guest, one of your favorite guys in the world.
Oh, is that Bully Ray one coming out? Yay.
And then finally, in other podcasting news, Peacock and WWE want to start a new podcast with hosts. The host they want is The Undertaker.
Interesting.
Depending on the format of the podcast, it could be really good for Mark Calloway. Could be really bad for Mark Calloway. Sorry, Conrad. Peacock and WWE jumped on it before you could.
I don't think the Mark Calloway could handle fucking having to deal with Conrad. Like, it amazes me. It amazes me that Bischoff hasn't told him to fuck right off. Like,
or Shivani.
Yeah. Like, it's Conrad's fucking unbearable. Like,
although Shivani and Conrad are kind of one and the same in a way.
Yeah. I can't anymore. Like, I used to love listening to 83 Weeks and Something to Wrestle. I can't anymore. I fucking can't. Like, it's bad. It's just like, you would think after all these years of working with people in the business, Conrad would have been a little bit less of a mark by now. And just, I am so sick of him hawking his fucking mortgage shit. I am so sick of it. And like, then you're going to make people pay a subscription fee for quote unquote ad-free shows that are fucking chock full of ads for your fucking mortgage company. Fuck you.
I mean, it's a Conrad Thompson business model, man.
I don't give a fuck. Oh, speaking of business models, there is one other thing I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
There was Triple H revealed how much the minimum pay on main roster is now.
Was it like $250 minimum? I think I saw
$250K. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to talk about that a little bit because I wanted to give a comparison of one of the last times I knew about what the base salary was and how it's been a while and how things have changed.
Can you preface when this was that you knew this?
So the last time I knew what the base salary was late 2009, early 2010.
Okay, so we're talking 12 years of inflation here. Okay.
Exactly. 12 years inflation. This was basically, we had an impromptu kind of like, I wouldn't even call it a seminar, but it was basically like it was kind of like a powwow back at the old Defiant Academy with a friend of ours who had just been let go from the creative team.
Okay.
It was, if you remember, like that 2010, like mass layoffs from the office, and it just happened to coincide with the same time Linda McMahon was running for office.
Correct. Yes.
It was about that time. And so we basically found out then what the base salary was and yada, yada. So base salary back in 2010 was $75,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So number one, that shows how much WWE has grown and become more profitable. But also, I believe that because NXT is a televised product now, and back then it was not. Back then, FCW was just local stuff.
Right.
Because NXT is a televised product, it wouldn't put it past me if the base of NXT was around 75 to 85K. And like I said, just base. And then once you know, like are getting ready for main roster, they bump you up.
And then, of course, merch royalties, I'd assume.
Right. Plus, the thing with NXT is you don't really have to travel. I mean, even with Florida house show circuit, you don't have to travel as much. And that's the thing is,
Oh, you get to drive down Highway 1.
but that was one of the things where we talked about back in the day. We talked about how people who were in developmental who got signed were making minimum, and like how they would weed out the people who really, weren't ambitious because they're like, oh, I'm getting paid this much. I'm sharing a freaking condo with a friend and I'm spending all my money tanning on the beach because free money, and that's how they would weed out people. So obviously now you figure your base on NXT is probably that much, and then main roster gets to this. So this is where every person who doesn't understand how finances work pops online and sits there and goes, after travel and hotel and blah, 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 you're really not making anything. Plus taxes. Plus you don't have health insurance. Okay. So something? I'm going to tell you something about being in the fucking business for 17 fucking years. All right. I'm going to tell you about people who don't know shit about this fucking business and how it fucking works. I'm going to give you a fucking breakdown. So yes, people bitch and whine and bitch and moan and blah, 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 blah about WWE talent being independent contractors. Hate to break this to you. The bloom has been off the rose for a long time. AEW is the same way. You're an independent contractor. Remember that whole lie about how they were going to give AEW talent health insurance, as we found out later on, only extended to the EVPs and Chris Jericho.
Right.
So they're under the same fucking, they're under the same umbrella. So we're going to talk about, something to be a minimum wage, for lack of a better term, WWE talent at $250K a year is pretty goddamn good. And this is how I'll explain this to you. Number one, first rule, top of the list, live within your means. And I actually learned this from Just Incredible and Jason Knight. When Credible was working for WWE, and even like when ECW, like when they were starting to get promised more money and Heyman couldn't really pay them, shit happens. When they were getting that WWF contract money in the 90s, they spent money like water, and that was a problem. It was, rental car agencies, they would get the luxury car, and like Credible had like a $1 million house in New Jersey. Live within your means. That's where a lot of the NXT talents bought houses in Winter Park, Florida. Winter Park used to be an old Italian retiree neighborhood, and now it's a lot of young NXT guys because they were able to buy the houses cheap. So that's like, if you buy your house like that, and that's that neighborhood, that's where Adam Cole lives. That's where Nia Jax lives. That's where Mojo Rawley lives. That's where all of them live. Like, still, because the houses were cheap, and now the market's back up. So if they really wanted to, they could sell or somewhere else. So you live within your means. So that means you go to the rental car agencies and you get an economy car, and you carpool with people. There was that span in the like Attitude Era span where guys weren't carpooling. They were all just doing their own fucking thing. And that's like, if you want to save money, you carpool, and that's you learn. You hear talk about the guys in the territory days and road stories and yada yada yada. You carpool. If you're gonna get an SUV, make sure you've got 3 other people in that SUV with you to offset the cost. Hotels, same thing. You split a hotel room with people. You stay at the Econo Lodge. You don't get the 5-star suite. Go ahead.
There's an easy way to sum this up, by the way, for travel and stuff. People, go back to WWE Network. Go watch fucking WWE Road Trip. How often did you ever see anybody traveling alone on that show? I'll give you a hint. Never.
Never. Right. But so that's number one, and that's something that like Bob Evans does his seminars all across the country, and that's what he tells people. And this is the second part where I'm going to get into is you're an independent contractor, you keep all your receipts because as an independent contractor, everything is tax deductible.
Mhm.
There's I remember Bob mentioning at the time, one of the last seminars I was at where he was teaching, he talked about how there's like a gas mileage app that keeps track of everything for you. So there you go. You keep your receipts for everything. You make sure you hire a decent accountant or you figure out how to file your 1099 correctly. And then all that stuff, you get back a whole lot of that. I mean, okay, yeah, you're making six figures, so you're in a slightly higher tax bracket. That's going to be a given. But you're not like, it's not like they're going to take everything you make. And then here comes the final thing, and this is a thing that has pissed me off for a decade now.
By the way, those are the best receipts to have these days, are gas receipts. Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. Or like freaking fine rental companies that rent out EVs. Like, right. This is a thing that pisses me off that people talk about because they obviously know nothing about the industry, and I'm not talking wrestling industry. But this is the other industry that I worked at in day job, and that's fucking insurance. Listen up, you fuck sticks. I can't fucking explain enough to you that since the Affordable Care Act passed, anyone can get health insurance.
It's not that expensive.
Well, okay, so we'll get into expense in a moment, but I'm going to back it up because people are like, no one will insure pro wrestlers. Yes, they will. That limitation is no longer fucking there. Wrestlers do not need to go through Lloyd's of fucking London. Regular health insurance companies have to give everyone insurance.
Yep.
That like people, it's amazing how people, and this, hi, I worked for healthcare.fucking.gov. I know this shit. I was trained in this shit. I was a fucking broker. All right.
My wife works for a primary care provider.
Thank you. So don't fucking tell me that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about with this shit. So anyone can get health insurance. Now, they're making six figures a year. So are they going to get tax credit breaks? No, because those stop at $75K. So you know something? You're paying full price. Yeah, your premium's going to fucking suck. You're going to be paying $600 a month in premiums if you want a gold plan. You know something? If you're making six figures a year and you work your fucking tax deductible shit right, you can afford it. And then like it's because like I couldn't understand, like, especially like a couple of years into it. Like I remember when Mick Foley put up the GoFundMe for his hip surgery. Because he's like, because I don't have insurance. And I'm like, why the fuck don't you have insurance? You can have insurance. There's nothing saying you can't anymore. Like this is when I was working for the healthcare exchange. So I was like, I was like, why? Like it's you that limitation is no longer there. WWE doesn't offer health insurance because for as many to the workers, because for as many people as they have on staff and the level of physicality, it's the workers' compensation insurance that would kill WWE if they were to insure everyone. It's not so much the health insurance part.
Yeah, it's people are just uneducated about the whole process. Honestly, it's just a pain in the balls trying to get anybody to actually do research on it. It's just
exactly. But so like for people to say 250K is nothing, no, it's not. I would fucking kill to be making 250K right now. All right. Like I grew up poor and like I know how to live within my means. It's unbelievable how people want to talk about this shit. They're just so fucking ignorant. And then you try to show them facts and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. Fuck off. Seriously, just fuck right off.
They're just people who clearly didn't take any accounting classes or had lacked common sense when it comes to accounting. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking people. So, inside joke I'm going to end the show with. This is what I've been drinking most of the show.
Ginger ale.
Look at the brand up top.
Stuart.
Yeah. Remember the meme you sent me over the weekend about Stewart shops?
Oh,
Hi.
yeah. There was one other thing I wanted to mention that I didn't get to mention last week.
What's up?
I just wanted to, I told you in passing, but I just wanted to send out my condolences to Mike Woods, also known to those in the wrestling industry as Mike Roch, who is the co-owner of DPW's sister company, Interspecies Wrestling. Unfortunately, a little over a week ago, his wife passed away. They just held the funeral in Connecticut this past weekend. I wasn't able to attend, obviously, but just wanted to give some condolences out to him. I know it's a little late. It just completely slipped my mind with the two-parter last week. Came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it sucks because, you know, Roch may be coarse at times, but he's an okay guy, and his wife was a sweetheart.
No.
So just, you know, let him know, you know, thoughts are still going out to him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely agree. Well, that's going to wrap it up for episode 45 of White Heat, presented by Godzilla Media and sponsored by our friends over at Mohawk Honda in the Scotia Glenville area of upstate New York. Yeah, that's everything. Enjoy the week of wrestling. I'm sure we're going to have a ton to talk about. Between if there's anything new with roster additions or subtractions on Raw and SmackDown, whatever the fuck happens on NXT with the tag titles, I'm sure that'll be a hot button topic next week.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, battle of the 2 belts out of 6. Motherfuckers. That's JJ Alexander. You can catch me on Twitter at JJ_Alexander. I'm Brian Cady. You can catch me on Twitter at Brian Cady, all one word. BRIANCADY. If you want to complain at all about what I said during the show, because I'm sure you're not going to complain about JJ at all. Brian.Cady at GodzillaMedia.com. Think of the word Godzilla and take out the D. GodzillaMedia.com. That being said, goodbye. JJ, say salutations.
Salutations.